Hello, everyone. This is Paul Everton, host at the Truth Table. It's April 23rd, just mere 5 days before the election here in Canada. And I hope everyone votes with fully informed because information is important when it comes to this election because we've been going left, right, conservative, liberal for since the 1900s. And it seems like we still haven't learned our lesson. So hopefully this time you will have comfort in the choosing the People's Party of Canada. My guest tonight is running in Charlottetown, Bob Lucas. Thank you for joining me, Bob.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for hosting me.
So, what was it that drew you into politics in the first place?
Wow. I actually ran provincially in Ontario back in 1987, and the PCs had been in power for 42 years. I ran as a PC candidate, but it
Mhm.
happened to be the year that the liberal red tide with David Peterson flowed right across the full province. And although I did better than two-thirds of the former cabinet ministers in number of votes and percentage of votes, I was not successful. I got
Mm.
beat by the short-term 2-year minority government incumbent who was a liberal.
A lot of people don't realize that Pierre Poilievre voted for C4, Bill C4, that allows children to mutilate their bodies without parental consent. And people need to understand that no matter what he's promising, he's still along, doing a lot of the same things the liberals are doing. But what was it about the People's Party that drew you to it as opposed to all the other ones?
There were a couple of key things. The most important, Paul, was our leader. I believe that Maxime Bernier is the best, most honest, trustworthy leader in Canada today. That was the key factor that led me to the PPC party. With that, I also am congruent with most of the PPC policies and platform. And so it made it easier for me to select that party. The other aspect, looking at it from the other side of things, is that I see very little difference between the Liberal Party, which is destroying our country, and the current CPC party and its leader. The fact that Pierre Poilievre has absorbed more than 50% of the PPC platform and policies is saying
Yeah.
something loud and clear that Maxime Bernier and our party are on the right track. We're offering the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have been taking yeah, I noticed that. They won't let you speak, but they're stealing your words.
And that's something that is so undemocratic from my perspective. And it's despicable that Maxime Bernier did not have an opportunity to participate in the debates. It's very undemocratic. The fact that the uh, debate commission, the Leaders Debate Commission, did change the rules back just it was a year ago, September, really, September of 2024. And that was basically allowing 1 year prior to the proposed uh, set election date of October 2025 And with the early calling by the new prime minister designate, is what I call him, to have the rule changes within 6 months of the actual election call, I believe was unfair.
Do you think it was specifically targeted to keep this party out?
Well, in doing my homework, Paul, if you look back, it was September 14 of 2018 that the People's Party of Canada was formed. Then, when was the Leaders Debate Commission put into place? October 2018, just after the PPC had started.
Right.
Not a coincidence, I don't believe.
No. Do you think it's election interference to not invite the People's Party candidates after they've already got their signatures?
It's
election interference.
Election interference. It certainly is undemocratic. And the other aspect, what I've experienced just recently, Paul, is a key example of fake news. And the fake news was when I heard of the Green Party leader not being involved in the debates. The way the message came across was that the Green Party leader had chosen to withdraw from the debate to, in a sense, support Maxime Bernier not being allowed to participate.
Right.
Then, because I did my homework, I discovered that that wasn't the case at all, that the Green Party actually were informed indirectly that their leader would not be allowed to participate in the debate because they hadn't met all of the qualifications required. And for the Leaders Debate Commission to do that within less than 48 hours of the actual French debate first happening, it just, again, it's controlling, it's undemocratic, it's unfathomable, really. However, it is an indication, from my perspective, of just a little bit of a taste of what we've got to look forward to as Canadians, with either the Liberal or the Conservative Party of Canada, in a sense, forming government. And so one of the best things that I believe Canada can hope for at this stage is another minority government.
Yeah. Yep. So every riding is different and they have different needs, different situations. But in your riding in Charlottetown, that sounded like Charlottetown. Gotta be very articulate in this in a podcast.
Right.
But what is it about the People's Party platform that you think would benefit your riding the most?
Both the riding and the Canadian people can benefit the most by the government starting to choose to act responsibly financially.
Yes, I would agree with that.
The figure that I heard just the other day is that it's costing us $4.5 million per hour in deficit, in increasing the deficit because of the interest on the $1.2 to $1.3 trillion deficit. And It's totally irresponsible. That can't continue. And the People's Party of Canada is the only party that will balance the budget in 4 years' time. And yet, how can we possibly become the government when our leader is not allowed to debate?
Yeah. I mean, every home has to have a budget or they would lose their homes. It seems to me that all the five parties in Parliament want to create a slave system where through debt. So we're beholden and we're owned by outside entities. So I really feel a betrayal, which is why the majority of Canadians don't vote. If they all voted, all the non-voters, they would win. But that shows it shows the non-confidence. And that's the majority of Canadians just have no more faith because they say one thing and do another. And they've never known really a party like this that actually is talking about, critical thinking and responsible governance. I don't see that. They're just talking, like talking points with all the other parties. But the People's Party is really the only one that would, get rid of, that make the government efficient, like Doge with Elon in the States.
Mhm.
You would support a Doge kind of situation in Canada and eliminate all the waste and corruption.
The waste of the Liberal government has been so foolish, so frivolous, it's really almost unbelievable. And with that, there are so many, not only millions, but billions of dollars that have been spent and are still being spent. And one of the examples that I came across just in the last 24 hours, Mr. Carney now has indicated that he's going to implement, I believe it's an IFV, I need a little help here. IVF, a fertilization program that's going to cost $20,000 per family, so that the lesbian and gay community can have children. And there's waste that through the freezing of the required ingredients, my understanding is that 93% of those ingredients that are frozen and will be frozen in the future end up being fully wasted. And the cost to keep them frozen, and when you look at the governments, both Liberal and CPC, and what they're doing in regards to, first of all, the abortion. And I choose to be pro-life. With that choice, the PPC is the only party that is calling for the reopening of the debate around abortion. Mm-hmm. Canada is one of the most liberal countries in the world, with basically no abortion limitations. With that, we're in a position that now, here we are paying for abortions right through. The PPC party in discussion does support first trimester abortions. Mm-hmm. From there, they do not go further than that. And so there's repealing of current laws that are going to be necessary. But from there now, Mr. Carney is going to pay up to $20,000 per family for IVF. And in doing that, it puts the government in a position where they're trying to create life, which is very
Yeah.
contradictory to their stance on abortion.
Ex-
And then
exactly. I mean, whether you're religious or not, I mean, Exodus 20:13. It's right there. I mean, if you want to say there's freedom of religion, then at least the government should at least abide by those religions by not killing. That means not contributing to wars. So not to be preachy, but I just wanted to say, there it's in there. It's in the Bible, not to kill. So I mean that includes unborn child. I mean that there's only 10 rules in that book, and that's one of them. And if either you're going to take it seriously or not. So you would be against funding wars as well, I'm assuming.
I definitely. And in turn, one of the other atrocities that the Liberal government has implemented right from 10 years ago when Trudeau first got in is the evolvement of the MAID program.
Yeah.
What they're doing, they implemented it really to save money on healthcare. And they're succeeding, they're saving some money, but to be taking lives prematurely again goes against the Bible.
And C4, I mean, is destroying the lives of children, and then they offer them MAID at 12 years old. So they offer them a way out of the suffering that the government has caused under very expensive surgeries that taxpayers are being forced to pay. We don't have a choice at all anymore. We can't opt out.
But the other really sad part of that, Paul, are the number of people that have gone through that process and now totally regret their decision, and they cannot go back.
Yeah, because it's based on a whim. It's how you feel that particular day. Children go through that. They explore. They're discovering themselves. Let them be free to do that without making serious, life-altering changes while they're still young and impressionable. I see this as a crime against humanity. And would you be for no amnesty and putting,
and putting
making them people responsible, like the medical officers that pushing masks and all these crimes that have been committed against? Would you be for getting justice for Canadian people?
It's long overdue. And really worldwide, there have been people that have significantly lied to us about the whole COVID. One of the interesting aspects about COVID, when it first came out, what was it called? Nouveau COVID. In 2020, the 2019, 2020, when it hit strongly. But if it was nouveau COVID-19, why are there medical patents dating back to 2005?
Yeah. Yep.
The whole process says to me that whole COVID process was man-made, and it was intentional, and it was all about to what extent can we control the population.
Yep. And the launch.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's true. And they launched it off by using government military weapon, direct energy weapon to destroy the Georgian Guidestones, and that's when it all just went boom. That was the start point for the world to betray their own people all over the world.
And with Mr. Carney being an active member of the World Economic Forum, my question is, how much worse is it going to be if it took the government a Liberal government 10 years to double the deficit in Canada of what the all former prime ministers took 148 years to develop that size deficit. For the Liberals to double it again, to double it the first time in 10 years. Are they going to do it in the next, going to double it again in the next 4 years?
Well,
In turn.
they definitely want to implode the financial system in Canada, perhaps to allow Trump to take over and let us become a 51st state. One advantage of that would be, of course, being able to defend your own home and children. That's one benefit. Would the PPC do that?
Well, the parental control has been taken away through the educational system.
Yep.
And with the transgender, DEI, the whole variety of aspects are circumstances that have intentionally been put into place. They're destroying parental control. They're sadly influencing our children, our grandchildren, and me, future great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
And it's a crime. It's simply a crime. So going back to your question, yes, I believe the Dr. Fauci's of the world and others here in Canada, there are people that need to be taken to court, to be sued, to be charged, and in doing that, to end up seeing what the court systems do with people like that. I sense that it's coming in the States, and if it does, it will provide us, I believe, here in Canada with an opportunity to do the same with some of the people here that are very deserving.
Yeah. How have you found the community, your constituents? Have they been hearing your message? Have you been able to connect and have gatherings?
We haven't been so successful with gatherings in Charlottetown because the party has been kept in the darkness. We did have our leader, Maxime Bernier, visit us back on April the 2nd, I believe it was. And so we had a good turnout for that occasion. And just seeing the posted there, let me just suggest that on the ballot, my name will actually appear as Robert Lucas.
Robert, yes, sir. Yes. I didn't know whether to call you Robert.
And not a problem.
You like being called Bob, though. You're used to, everyone calls you Bob. Oh, you just froze.
And most people do call me Bob, but Robert is my formal given name.
Is it going to be hard getting used to being called Honorable Minister?
Well, doesn't the honorable come when you are when you're given a ministry in government?
Yeah. What it would be like being the only honorable one in there?
Well, you've got a good point in that regard. I certainly am hoping and praying that there are a number of People's Party of Canada candidates that get elected.
Yeah.
I certainly hope that our leader, Maxime Bernier, gets elected. He has chosen to run in his former home riding. He did
Hmm.
branch out to Manitoba in the by-election there, but I'm hoping that his people come back because of their disappointment on particularly the Liberal government
Right.
and the CPC leader disappointment in him. And so I certainly hope that he does get elected and becomes a member of parliament again so that he
Yep.
can be a strong voice. I, in turn, believe that to be successful in becoming the member of parliament for Charlottetown, that I can be a strong voice for the people right across Canada, even though we won't be the governing voice at this
Mm.
election.
That would be a bloody miracle. If we got a majority government, it would be like what I sent. Everyone I know is a PPC supporter. I mean, you gave up modeling in GQ magazine to become a PPC candidate. I'm kidding, of course. GQ magazine model here. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
I
it's
gave
good.
up. I
You
gave
gave up
up the
modeling?
choice of retirement in
Yes,
order
exactly.
to put
Safe.
myself out to give the people in Charlottetown a very viable, strong alternative.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard to believe this elbows up campaign going on after the convoy. And Carney was right there. He wanted people to be punished and considered it sedition to anyone who donated to the truckers' convoy. How do you feel about that?
Well, I was at the trucker convoy on the last day after the illegal Emergency Measure Act deployment or
Yeah,
deployment to
right.
force the truckers out. It took 8 hours with the major snowfall of driving from from Mississauga to Ottawa to get there in the first place. And I'll tell you, as the truckers were pulling out on that last day, the horns were honking, yes, making added noise on that final day, but thousands of people, me being one of them, and we were singing our national anthem. And I have never been prouder to be a Canadian.
Yeah,
The
I hear you.
One of the other things that is really disappointing is what's happening to really, from my perspective, the heroes of the trucker convoy. How many
Hmm.
millions of people stood on bridges and along highways and roadways as truckers passed through their province, through their city, through uh, just through where they lived, and the cheering that happened, and the false news that was given about all of the negative aspects of the convoy while it was in Ottawa. Who was to blame for that convoy lasting so long? It
Mm.
was the politicians who are to blame. They did
Yep.
not come out, Trudeau did not come out and speak to the truckers. The I believe the CPC leader at the time did not come out and speak. Maxime Bernier came out and spoke to the people.
Right. Yep.
So it's
That's,
if the politicians had have simply come out and done what they should have done in the first place and talk and negotiate with the truckers. The reality is that it was a very peaceful convoy. And it's such a shame that not only are those that were charged with crimes like mischief, where some of them put in jail, some of them have had their legal battles stretched out, and some of them have been still going on just recently. And
Hmm.
or they've already paid far more than what any worthwhile crime would be, just for simple mischief. And it's
Yeah.
again, with World Economic Forum and Mark Carney, it's just I'm to shake my head at where is our Canada going to be um,
Hmm.
2, 3, 4 years down the road.
Yeah. Well, the government told a friend of mine from Germany to mind her own business. And she said, if it wasn't for you not minding your own business, Hitler would, there would still be tyranny in Germany. So she said, because you didn't mind your own business, I'm free. And that's why I'm not minding. And Pierre said she was. You may know her, but Christine Anderson, um, Pierre Polyev called her vile. What an absolute obscene thing to say about someone who's speaking up for Canadians that's not even Canadian.
Let me pick up on that, Paul, because you've got an excellent point, and I couldn't have picked a better example myself. So thank you. Christine Anderson scolded Trudeau very deservedly after he spoke in the German council. Then, about a year later, she came and visited Canada. And during the visit, she was visited, she had a meal with 3 conservative members of parliament, one who I know personally and I helped in the leadership campaign. With that circumstance, Pierre Poilievre not only lied himself, but in turn, he basically forced the 3 members of parliament to lie. Now, I respected Pierre Poilievre in the early stage of him winning the leadership. But when I discovered the truth of him lying, then I no longer have any respect for him. Not only lying himself, but putting the other his members of parliament in a very unforgivable position.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing that these people are narcissistic. And this is in the RCMP, the police, the Rangers. What I've noticed, which, multiple guests that I've had, that the only way you get promoted is if you're willing to do something bad. And that way, these narcissists stay in power by keeping other narcissists and promoting other narcissists that will follow and lust after the power and control that they have. And would you be willing to ensure that this was all going to be undone and cleaned out, and checks and balances be reinstated in all these government agencies that are supposed to protect us?
I would be fully in favor of that. It's a requirement. And
Mhm.
we're becoming more like the leaders of third world countries.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
the crime that's happening now, the fraud that is happening. And PEI is not exempt. One of the things I hear from the voters is the amount of fraud, the amount of crime that's happening here on the island. And if it's happening here on the island, it's happening right across our country. And the judgments that they are making, they're punishing good people, and they're letting gangsters and criminals, basically, they They catch them, they charge them, and then they let them go free. The
I would
whole
like to
system
yeah,
is corrupt.
I would like to call it high treason.
The high treason is a word for it, for sure.
Well, they have betrayed us. They want a replacement migration, and they're going to have 10 kids to our none kids. We're not going to have kids anymore because it's too expensive to have kids. But these people are coming in with 10 kids, and each kid gets a check, and all their 7 wives will each get an individual check. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time before they're running the show, and we have Sharia laws. We don't have any more time left. So I'm grateful for people like you who are actually willing to put your name on the ballot, and despite all these forces working against you, because all the parties are didn't want Maxine. I mean, they voted all for it. They all voted for C4. So we have nobody. There's nobody there for parents. Not one person. There's not one honorable person. No one deserves that title. So that's why you need to get in there, because we need to have someone that's actually honorable and will actually say do what they say they're going to do. Would you consider this a biased interview, or a comparative to a CBES or CBC interview?
Well, I was interviewed by CBC out door knocking a short while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I, it's I think Corby McKay. Corey McKay was the the journalist that was interviewing me, and Aaron, his cameraman, and it was a very comfortable, relaxed interview. I did feel very comfortable throughout. Uh, Not much of it got put in the time slot because the time for each of the candidates was very limited. But
Yeah.
I felt that I was treated fairly and respectfully at that time. In this case, what I am able to do is speak more of really where my heart is. Now, Paul, I don't know if you've noticed, but behind me here, it's over my shoulder, is one of my lawn signs. And um, the interesting development of our campaign slogan, it actually initiated from a um, from an atheist, and yet it's evolved, and I tweaked it a little bit from what the individual had suggested, and I just changed the words around a little to go with 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the love chapter, and it's verse 13, and my slogan is leading and serving with faith, hope, and love. With that, it provides light, it provides life, it's focused on truth. Now, back in 1999, I was going through a manual, and as I was doing that, I received a new word. And I used to be very self-confident, and yes, sometimes even maybe a little cocky as a man. But the word that I got, instead of being self-confident, I came up with the word Godfident. And
That's awesome.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's awesome. Godfident.
Well, and I spell it with a capital G. And what it is, it's light. It is. It provides hope. And just less than 2 months ago, as I was really getting in deep in this election process and this political process, another word came to me, and the word is satanfidence. And it's spelled with a small s. And satanfidence, lies, deceit, death, darkness, faith, hope, and love, life, truth, light. And so people really have a simple choice to make. Are you going to vote for darkness, which liberal government has been providing us, and Polyev isn't going to do any better? Or are you going to choose for light, for life, for truth?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I find it really hard to distinguish between what is the truth in media today and what are lies. And certainly with my being 82 years young, I fortunately have been blessed with a reasonable amount of wisdom, and I have found that my discernment has been getting stronger as well. So
Well, you look great for your age. You don't look a day over 80. You don't look a day over 80.
Thank you. I don't feel a day over 80, although some days maybe I do a little bit.
I do all the time,
yeah.
I'm black pilled. I feel like if they can cheat, they will. They can use AI to find out who's voting for who online, on Facebook, and get a complete a number of how many mail-in ballots they need per riding, so they can cheat. I just feel it because the polls are showing the liberals beating the conservative, which is absolutely ridiculous. There's no way. They should be Kathleen Wynne non-party status after what they've done. So, I mean, they're all lying to us. And they're not even including People's Party in most of these polls. So they're just keeping you erased.
The People's Party of Canada, in a number of the polls that have come through that I've seen online, do not include PPC. It's like we're not existent. They are, and they have been ghosting the People's Party of Canada. Is that democracy?
No, it's a coup. It's a soft coup. It's like Ukraine. There's no more elections. I feel like this is our last election, and they're cheating every which way they can, and nobody's doing anything about it. All these, these Chinese people that were called out in Parliament, nobody's been fired. How's that possible? So we obviously have a criminal system here, and I've found it in every department: the police, Ontario Provincial Police, the RCMP, the Rangers. My God, they're just everywhere has been usurped and compromised. And only the PPC that I know of are actually willing to address these things and actually fix them. So I feel kind of helpless. I feel black pill. Do you feel hopeful? Do you have more hope than me?
I do. I believe in miracles. I know I serve the God of miracles. Right. And it's why I'm running. Should I be in a position to ultimately become member of Parliament? If I do, it's not because Robert Lucas or Bob Lucas has done it. It's because of the miracle that we've received from above.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel. I feel like God is the only one that can fix this, because they've corrupted every corner. They've covered all their angles. It's very well thought out, but there's no loyalty to this country. They seem to want to implode it and just create chaos with all this bringing all these cultures that really aren't compatible with the Christian culture. We don't marry children. We don't have 17 wives. We don't believe in honor killings because our child falls in love with someone of another religion. There's no compatibility there. And that's not being racist. That's just being using critical thinking. We have to. We can't be funneling, flooding in our country people from Sharia law countries. They don't abandon Sharia law, and they don't. They don't. A lot of what they do is illegal here, like beating your wife. That's okay with them. That's not okay here.
No, for sure. And one of the other aspects that I want to point out, Paul, is that we had a major windstorm on Sunday night, and winds gusting over 80 kilometers per hour. On Saturday, that were late in getting our the larger signs delivered, and so we put 12 signs up on Saturday. On on Monday morning, I went out, and after Sunday night windstorm, and 11 of the 12 large signs had been blown down, had been broken, whatever. And so we ended up reinstalling them. What I did is that, as I believe any good neighbor should do, is as I was fixing some of our signs, then I helped to straighten some of our competitors' signs. And in one case, one of the CPC signs, which was much larger than ours, had blown over. Had the stakes had come out of the ground, and I set it upright. Was able to do that, but then before I turned around and started walking away from the sign, the wind blew it over again. And it blew it out, so it was partially on the road. So the most I could do at that stage was pull it back, so it was off the road. And in turn, I know that other some of the opponents have done the same in helping to straighten my signs. So if we live the love your neighbor, then it's little things like that that can end up making a difference. And that's what we have to do. We have to make these little changes in loving our neighbors, in doing good things. Paying it forward is one of the very positive steps that has been implemented in society at times. And it's a very positive step that we as individuals can take. People think that, the system is too far gone. We can't change things. But the reality is, how do we change things? One step, one person at a time.
Yeah, that's the only thing we can do. What do you think about the supply management? What are your feelings on that system?
I know that it was the dollars behind supply management that Maxime Bernier lost the leadership race in the Conservative Party back in 2017-18. That big dollars were put up against him, and he lost the vote by 1%. Otherwise, he would have been the Conservative leader.
Yes. Yep. They couldn't allow that. We got 5 more days, Robert.
We do.
And I'm not going to vote until the day. So I was told that's the best thing to do is to wait till the actual election day. I'm going to put it in God's hands because I don't think if people can be brainwashed or if the government can cheat, then I feel kind of helpless and hopeless. And I don't think we have any more elections before that. They've given us a date, 2030. You're going to own nothing. And so, this is it. This is the election that's really going to make or break Canadian life and our culture, I like Maxine's position on immigration. We're not anti-immigration. We're just responsible immigration.
Uh,
If you don't have the houses, you don't bring the people, or you're going to have issues in homelessness and tent cities and crime because people need to eat. So they may have to commit crimes to eat. So, I mean, they're creating a situation of utter chaos before our very eyes and lying right to our face. Only a narcissist can lie right to your face and smile and like Trudeau saying, the deficit will pay for itself. Well, how did that go? Did it pay for itself?
and who was the key advisor financially to Trudeau for
Carney,
the last 5 years? Mr.
Carney.
Mark Carney. And
Yeah,
what has he done to the United Kingdom while he was there for
yeah,
almost 10 years?
yeah. He borrowed them into, inflation. He just printed money like it was nothing, and he'll do the same here. Just
It,
print
it,
money, and
it,
I think that's a
he,
way to capture a country is to create so much debt that they're enslaved. Because the bank could say, "Well, we want the money tomorrow," and you say, "Well, we don't have it." Well, I'm taking over your everything. I'm taking your country then.
well, it almost seems like Trump is doing that. However, one of the realities, I didn't get into my background. I am a 31-year licensed realtor, but the last 8 years, I've been a certified life coach. And there's a one of the tools that's available to us as life coaches is how do we respond to people in life? Are we assertive? Do we take a win-win approach? Are we aggressive? Do we take a win-lose approach? Or are we passive? Do we take a lose-lose approach? And what has tended to happen against Trump is that our leaders have tended to take a win-lose approach against Trump. US is 10 times larger than Canada.
Yeah.
You don't beat someone like Trump in a win-lose kind of approach. What you
Yep.
do is you negotiate with him in as win-win way as you can. I experienced that in life. I learned that basic definition of assertive, aggressive, passive more than almost 50 years ago. And I've
Mhm.
been living it from the time I learned it. And I was amazed at how aggressive I was because I was quite competitive in sports. But as soon as I saw that definition of assertive, aggressive, passive, and realized how aggressive I had been, immediately I chose into an assertive approach whenever I possibly could. And it was amazing how all of a sudden, almost overnight, I was winning far more often, but so was everyone that I was working with. And
Mhm.
it was just changed things in a very positive way. So I live life. I am a very positive, optimistic guy. I certainly choose. I choose to become born again in 1999, a born again Christian. I've chosen to be pro life. I've chosen to be a representative of the People's Party of Canada. And I am choosing to stand up and to fight and to stay in this battle for my fellow Canadians and my children, my family,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
here the people of Charlottetown.
Well, if anybody watching tonight knows anyone that lives in Charlottetown, please send them this video so they can meet the person behind the name on the ballot. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Robert. Any final words to your constituents before the election and before we finish our podcast tonight?
I believe that our Heavenly Father has given all of mankind two key gifts. The first is love, and we can choose whether or not we choose to love and we can choose to be loved. But he has also given each and every person, mankind, man, woman, freedom of choice. And so on April 28th, we all have freedom of choice. And I encourage you, the advanced polls have been record numbers of people voting. I hope that we and pray that we'll see the same number of um, higher, uh, higher than ever voting percentages on April the 28th by people voting. One vote at a time is how we make a difference in this world.
Yep. Well, thank you, Robert, and I wish you the best in 5 days, and I wish you a seat in the parliament. I know that the People's Party candidates will go in running, and that's what has to happen. We have to go through the every nook and cranny and clean out all the corruption because it's everywhere. And I want to thank you for coming on the show and giving me some time to introduce people to the person behind the name on the ballot. And thank you all at home for joining me here on the Truth Table. Don't fall for the elbows up. They're faking you out. They're not really patriotic. Trust me. They're just playing with your minds as usual. But I look forward to seeing you all on the Truth Table on the next episode. Tomorrow I've got Kirk Reese and Elliot McDavid. And hopefully I'll have more candidates before Monday, the election day. Thank you all for coming. I'm Paul. Hello, everyone. This is Paul Everton. As of the 28th, the subscription to the StreamYard will end, and this logo will be gone unless I can raise the funds to pay the subscription for another year. If not, it doesn't mean the Truth Table will be ending. It just means I'll have less hours. The quality of the video will deteriorate a bit, and I will have a StreamYard logo, which is fine. But if you would like to donate, I will put it in God's hands because I really don't like asking for money, but I just don't have $400. So this is what where you can e-transfer if you want to. After the 28th, I'm not going to ask anymore. But if you want to e-transfer, it should be here. And thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel.